Hey everyone, CPO here, and in this video I'm going to continue the coverage of the Excalibur security system with remote start. This is video number 6, and hey, let's get started. See what I did there? So in this video, pretty much we're going to finish up all of the wiring. So we're going to tap into the OBDII port for power. We're going to tap into a ground post underneath the dash. We're going to tap into our parking light circuit. I'm going to wire up the horn, the hood pin switch, and the siren. So I'm going to show you less detail in this video, and I'm going to get things done under the assumption that you've watched the previous 5 videos that sort of go through a progression. So if you want more information on how I'm doing things, such as how I'm splicing wires using the military splice or military tap method, you can go look at video number 4, where I actually show you on the bench how I'm doing that. And then video number 5, I do it for you on camera with an actual circuit to the brake switch. But I figure you've seen that stuff now, you don't need to see it every single time. So basically what I'm doing is pointing out the wires, making it happen, and then showing you the result. Now I am extending this blue and black wire that's going to go to the horn underneath the hood. I should have extended it earlier, but I wasn't real clear on where it was going. But I'm doing it now. So let me go heat this up, and then I'll cut this to match the length of the other wires running into the engine compartment. Now for the OBDII connections, I'm basically going to pull this connector out, and I'm just pinching in the sides of those clips. And that will allow me to pull this connector down. And I can't get very much out of it. Unfortunately, I can't get it on the side because of my cage. So I'm not sure if you have more access over there than I do. But basically what I'm going to do is tap into the positive in that connector. Now for the positive, I'm going to use the red, kind of looks pink to me, the red wire that came out of the T-harness we put into the ignition. And then also this black and violet wire that comes out of the main harness, which is going to feed power to the horn. So the way the horn honk works is it's going to take power out of here and then send it through the other wire, the blue and black wire, which I have extended with a black wire. That's another good point. If you extend wires, make sure you know what color the new wire is, otherwise you're going to have a hard time. So I've got 3 wires sort of bundled together in a harness that go into the engine compartment, the siren, the hood trigger, and now the horn. So those 3 are going to go through, and that's why they're all bundled together. But for power, I need to connect both of these to the same place. The OBDII port is a good place to add that power. All right, so I have the wires tapped into the OBDII port. You can see which wires are there, that red and then the purple and black. I was originally going to do the ground wire as well. But you know, I noticed there's this ground post right here, so close. I'm just going to go ahead and put a ring terminal on this and stab that over to there. Just because these wires in here in the OBD terminal are really hard to get to for me, because I can't pull it down very far. And you know, why not just use the easy option right there? Oh yeah, I guess it would be helpful to show you which wire I actually tapped into. It's the red wire. There are actually very few pins in the OBDII port, but the red wire is this one right here in the very bottom, and that can be easily verified with a test light. Anyway, tap into the red one, you should be good to go. Basically, I'm going to stick this back where I got it. All right, so that's back in there. It's actually harder to get back in there than you would imagine. What I found is pushing it up and then trying to bring it back down makes the most sense. It gets the wires tucked up there out of the way, which is really the problem. It's the wire harness that kind of keeps it. But anyway, that's back in. I'm gonna go put a ring terminal on this, send that to ground, and then we'll be ready to move along. All right. There we go. That's all set. I can plug in my Trail Dash 2 again, and we're good to go. So believe it or not, we've already tapped into all the wires we need to tap into here underneath the dash. So what I'm gonna do is clean up these wires. I'm gonna zip tie them to existing wire runs and make sure, of course, I have enough slack for plugging into the brain itself. Then I've got to run this wire across to the passenger side through the back for my parking lights. And then these all go in the engine compartment area. And then I have a couple sensors still to plug in. But as far as wire tapping, that's it. We've done it all, including the ignition, remote start, all that stuff. I mean, that's pretty amazing. That T-harness really does simplify things. So I'm gonna go ahead and stab these through that hole in the firewall that I showed you earlier. I'm going to tape the end to give me a nice single piece here. To push through. I'm going to push these through and then I'll show you where on the other side it comes out. But be careful, don't push through from underneath. Make sure you follow the route you need to go once this thing's installed. Otherwise, you're going to be wishing you did a better job. All right. Now that that's through, I'll show you where it comes out, like right in this area. So you should be able to crawl in here in the engine compartment. And find it right here. And basically what I'm going to do is run it up the other side of that master cylinder to come up in here with all these other wires. So I'm going to work on that here. All right, so one thing I found that works is if I can get one of these grabbers to get a good hold on that loom. Then I can pull it up through here. Once I've got it up through here, it is no longer detectable at all from underneath. You can't find it from underneath the vehicle. So it really is a great little spot. All right, so now I've got my wires out here. I'm basically just trimming my sheaths back so I can split them where I want them. I'm just using these flush cut cutters, which are nice and sharp. Obviously you don't want to cut your wire, but I just want to get this trim back to where I can basically terminate the bundle right about here and then let individual wires come out from there. That looks like a pretty good spot right there. And then I can zip tie that in. Go ahead and tape this off so that it doesn't unravel. All right, so got Siren wire, hood pin wire, all coming out of here. I'll manage that, and I also have the horn wire, which is right here. So probably harder on me than you guys because of what I have going on here. Combination of a lot of things, including this differential breather extension I put in. All right, so this blue and yellow, or gray and yellow, looks like blue and yellow horn wire. All right, as you can see here, I tapped the horn wire into here. Normally I would point away from the connector, but in this case it was so hard to get in there, I have it pointed towards the connector. Now that's getting plugged right back in to the horn. And then I guess I can re-secure this now. Okay. Now I need to run my hood pin switch And as I mentioned earlier, I didn't think I'd have to add too much link to this. I also want to look for sort of optimal routing. Seems like a good place to go. And actually, it's just barely gonna fit. I think it will. I'm gonna go ahead and install it just like that. I definitely wouldn't want to go any shorter. But I think that length will work. Oh yeah, baby. It's got plenty of room. I'll tie that run down. That's golden. All right, been working on wiring. Have my Siren wire, the brown one, now extended to run around there. I did put a wire loom around it so it'll be nice and clean and also protected. Run that over to there, attach it to the positive of the Siren. So I did tap into the hood pin switch with a wire just to get ready for installing that hood switch. So I'll be doing that later, not now, because I want to make sure the entire system has been tested before I add those new components that are going to introduce complexities. So I want to get baseline system done, but that wire is there. I'm just going to tuck that out of the way, make sure it's not touching ground, and then we'll be good to go. And once I connect the Siren, because I have the hood pin and the horn, we're done underneath here. All right, and there we go. Siren is wired up, and that Siren wire is properly concealed and protected. So now that everything is done under the hood, the Siren, the pin switch, and the horn, now the last thing I want to tap into before I start plugging in modules and finalizing the installation is, again, back over there in the kick panel, there's a wire that will give me access to flash the parking lights. I extended that wire with this brown and black wire, but I have it in a loom here. Originally, I forget what color wire it is now. You have to go back and look at the video. But this is going to parking lights. So I'm going to feed this back somewhere underneath and behind and get it to the passenger side, and then I'll show you where I'm going to tap in. All right, I ran that wire, came across the back side of this. I'm going to tie it up into some of that structure up in there. Find an interesting way to route it, but what I want to show you is which wire I'm tying into. Now I've already pulled off the side kick panel, but there's this whole bundle of wires that go to the back, and in those wires you'll find this white and orange. So it's a white wire with an orange stripe, and as you can see, I've already prepped it to tap. That's the wire that runs your parking lights. Now there are some larger diameter wires, but this is the smaller diameter orange with a white stripe. So that's where I'm going to tap that into. So I'm going to make that happen. And there you go. There's how it looks after the completed tap. All right, now I want to install my shock sensor. And then that's really the last thing. I can start prepping the brain, and then we can get it plugged in. So with the shock sensor, basically what I'm going to do is zip tie it to the steering column. There's a metal tube that the inner steering components work in, so it doesn't rotate. That's the one you want. And you want to put it in a way that you can actually adjust it. So there's these little Phillips head adjustment screws. Wherever you go, you got to make sure that you can get to those screws, otherwise adjusting is going to be a pain. And I need a longer zip tie. There we go. That's perfect. So maybe you can see in there where that is connected to. And I thought about putting it with the wires coming forward or back, but I didn't see where it made that much of a difference. So I'm just gonna zip tie the wires there to secure them and keep them out of the way. What you don't want is anything interfering with the actual steering action. So as long as that's okay, you're good to go. All right, guys, we're just about done. Just a couple of more small items, and then I'll get you actually setting up and testing this system. So thanks for watching. I'll catch you on the next one.